I'd like to welcome everybody to UC San Diego's presentation today on SEML and diversity opportunities at UC San Diego. My name is Julia Nemeth. I am the Assistant Director for full-time MBA admissions and recruitment at the Rady School of Management. I am joined here by my colleague, Christina Cook, who is our Director of Flex MBA admissions, as well as Amy Nguyen, who is on staff helping us in the admissions office. She manages all of the MBA applications themselves and is also a current MBA student. So that's exciting. And in today's conversation, we are going to be covering a couple different things. But Matt, I'm going to go ahead and have you introduce yourself. You are the Director of Admissions, so your insight is invaluable here.
I don't know about that. I think there's a lot better voices in the room than mine, but I will jump in. And first and foremost, Emily, thank you for joining us today. And to anybody else who might see this recording, thank you again for taking the time out of your day to spend with us. This is, first of all, you should really give yourself a pat on the back for just showing up to this event today, because you are investing time and energy into yourself, into your future, into your career. I think students or individuals who are looking at graduate programs should all take advantage of opportunities like this to be able to engage with other schools, to be able to ask questions, and to really see what schools are doing. Yeah, I just want to thank you for joining us. Again, we are here to be a support for you. We're here to be a resource for you. We admissions folks are a lot of times seen as gatekeepers, but we're really here and meant to be resources. So, as you look at schools, if you are interested in UCSD and the Rady School of Management, which how could you not be after all the exciting information we're going to share, please do come and talk to us. It's really helpful for us in the admission process to get to know you. And I think it's really helpful for those applicants and folks going through the admission process to come and chat with us as well, because it's a two-way street. We want to know that you're a good fit for us, and and you should want to know that we're a good fit for you in the long term. So please don't let this be the last time that we spend together. And we hope that we'll engage together again soon. So thank you. And I will hand it back to the much more exciting voices in the room for the rest of the time.
Thanks so much, Matt. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for taking time. I know Director of Admissions got real busy schedules, but we also have with us today Wendy Hunter-Barker. She's our Assistant Dean of Strategy and Operations at Rady. I have a little blurb here. Wendy, do you want me to go through it, or would you like to introduce yourself?
I can just introduce myself.
Go ahead.
No worries. Hi, everyone. As Julia said, my name is Wendy, and I'm the Assistant Assistant Dean of Strategy and Operations here at Rady School of Management. I've been working at UC San Diego for about 20 years and recently came from our School of Global Policy and Strategy. I know we don't have a lot of time today, so there are just a couple of points that I wanted to quickly hit before we open this up to Q&A. I think one of the really exciting things that's happening at Rady right now is we have a relatively new dean. She's been there for about 18 months, going on 2 years, and she's a proud Latina. And she's really invigorated in making sure that we're thinking about equity, diversity, and inclusion across the school in all elements of it. And it's something that I too am also very deeply committed to. And so we're trying to focus our energies to recognize where we are currently making contributions and how we can expand that. We've recently gone through a strategic planning process at Rady that has helped us kind of narrow and focus what we're doing. And so there were just a couple of points I wanted to share with you in case you wanted to follow up with them on the Q&A later. But one of the things that we're doing is we're trying to bring faculty to Rady who have interest in research around equity, diversity, and inclusion. So I did a quick calculus of who we have currently on staff, and we have about 6 faculty whose efforts are based on, gender and social power and consumer behaviors that rotate around, issues of EDI. And then we've also hired just this year 5 new faculty who will be coming in. So pretty soon we're going to have a very strong cadre of faculty whose research is focused on equity, diversity, and inclusion. I think that's going to be really exciting, and it's going to be something that we're going to look at Rady for some time to come. We're also working on setting fellowship funding aside for people who have demonstrated interest in advancing equity and diversity. And then we're also, looking at providing mentorship, and we definitely have, if you're entrepreneurial, we have startups that are focused around impact and innovation and inclusion. And then we're also really just looking at the climate of the school and trying to do a number of activities that make sure that, we're walking the walk and talking the talk, that we are checking in with all of the people in the Rady community, faculty, students, and staff, and making sure that they're being heard and felt and included. So those were just a couple of things I wanted to share, and obviously happy to talk about any of those as we move forward.
Thank you, Wendy. Next, we also have Yeri with us. Yeri, if you want to introduce yourself, and you can talk about CML and what that means in the UC system. So this is much broader. It's not just UC San Diego, although I feel like we've got a good relationship with you. And so go ahead and share out for us a little bit about what CML does and can do for incoming students.
Thank you, Julia. I want to echo what everyone's already said. We're glad that you all are able to join us. I'm not sure how the chat feature works, but it'd be great to know like where you all are from and like maybe where you are in thinking about graduate business degree or MBA specifically. So as Julia said, my name is Yeri. I work for the UC Office of the President, which is really the system-wide office. It sounds fancier than what it is. System-wide office for the UC, University of California system, which has 10 campuses, and 6 of those have graduate business schools. And CMO stands for the Summer Institute for Emerging Managers and Leaders, and it started in 2012 as a pathway / pipeline program to help increase diversity in the UC graduate business schools, which personally, in my opinion, is sort of the issue for all graduate business programs. I think it's something that it's very open about sort of the challenges, with increasing diversity. But the great thing is that there's programs like this, CMO, and also you all are here today. And what CMO does, it's in normal times and all expenses paid, sort of 11-day business leadership, sort of career intro program for undergraduates who are in their sophomore and junior year at HBCUs, which are historically Black colleges and universities, and Hispanic serving institutions, which are HSIs. This year, we opened it up to California community college students that attend HSIs. So that's something that we'll be looking to increase engagement in the future. And participants, the real only requirement is that they're interested in pursuing a graduate business education, right? And so to give students an opportunity to really explore and to think about what their options are, how they can prepare, while they're in college, while they're working in their careers in the early stages, or later stages if they're thinking about maybe doing, a part-time or flex MBA program. And so what we try to do to help increase, or I should say remove sort of barriers, are offer fellowships. So 1 to 2 year fellowships, Rady sort of leading the way in that regard with the 2-year full fee and tuition fellowship for CMO alumni that are admitted into their program. We also offer application fee waivers to all the 6 UC graduate business schools. And this year we started a partnership with Magoosh, where our students get a heavily discounted GMAT and GRE 50% discount to their online prep courses. So that's like sort of in a nutshell about CMO. And then I think also I wanted to mention, in addition to CMO, I think it's just important for folks who are thinking about getting an MBA to look at some of the prep programs. So CMO is great for, the undergraduate students currently in school, thinking about the future. But, beyond that, once you graduate, there's programs like MLT, Management Leadership for Tomorrow, that have MBA prep programs. Forte Foundation, which is specifically for women, that offers MBA prep. So they offer guidance around, preparing your application, mock interviewing, being able to speak with alumni of different business schools. So they sort of guide you through the process, which is talking to some students former students from CML, it's been really helpful, especially for those who may be first generation college students and maybe not have access to those resources. So it's really sort of an insider sort of step-by-step guide to have a successful application. And some of the programs offer fellowships, and some students, I shouldn't say students, but some people apply to more than one program. So I'll drop the links in the chat, and hopefully that'll transfer over to Huva. I think that's all I have to say. So thank you.
Thank you, Yeri. At this point, I would love to invite Emily and I'm going to butcher the name, Kenya Lopez, to join us on video to share a little bit about where you're coming from, where you are in your MBA journey, and why you decided to join this chat. I'm sure you had questions about something that we posted in the Huva portal. So Emily, you came on camera first. Let me ask you to start with any questions that you have of us.
Sure. I'll start with kind of a little intro. So I'm from Connecticut. I graduated the University of Connecticut in 2019 with a finance major. And what kind of appealed to me was kind of the title, just the diversity aspect. Coming from Connecticut and coming from like the state school, I was maybe one or the only Hispanic ever in my business classes. There wasn't a lot of representation. And so I think any opportunity to like kind of learn more about other schools and see how other places are done, I just kind of jump for it. And I love to learn more. I recently did a DE&I workshop with the University of South Florida, and I loved the program, which is why I also kind of jumped onto this call.
Thank you. No, that's fantastic. I'm glad that you're interested in that. I know Wendy definitely has some insights. Obviously, she started with the introduction of our new dean, and so if you could talk a little bit about what kind of strategies and things a little more in depth, specifically, Wendy, I would love to hear that.
Sure. So I happen to think UC San Diego has a really great program across the campus in terms of DE&I. We call it EDI here. So excuse me if we change those up. We have a vice chancellor area for that they've put out a lot of programming. And again, one of the things I particularly like about the efforts is that it is focused across faculty, students, and staff. So we're really trying to get EDI into the classroom. We're trying to get it into the community. And one of the things that I've done personally is they had an academic year, so a 9-month-long program called Leadership in Equity and Diversity. And they specifically trained staff to go out and use their spheres of influence and create space to have conversations about race and about diversity, and to create initiatives. So whereby you look at, one of the things we've been talking about is, do we want to have a question on the application for students that says, what is your commitment to enhancing equity, diversity, or inclusion? What have you done in your past? It's something we ask faculty for. There's a diversity statement in all of our faculty hires, and it's something that we're also going to put into our staff hiring procedures. So we're trying to really look inclusively across the campus to think about ways that what I was just listing is all Rady specific. And one of the things we've done most recently at Rady is we've asked our faculty to look at their slides and their case studies and look at who's represented, and is it representative of the students sitting in their classrooms? And if it's not, how are they going to change it? And how can we as an administration help support them in doing that? Because we want to make sure that people are being seen and heard. So yeah, it's an exciting time for me at Rady. This is the first time that EDI has been specifically in my job classification. So and if you end up coming to Rady, give me a shout out, because I'm always looking for student support. That's the place that I have like the least direct contact with. So I'm going to start, having some fellows of my own that work with me to really make sure that I'm getting in and understanding what the student experience is, because that's the one from which I'm most removed.
Thank you.
And I did notice that we had an additional participant jump in, Philemon, and would love to have you come in and ask any of the questions that you may have had. You kind of missed a little bit of a beginning of that intro of what we were talking about. So if you have specific questions, you're welcome to ask it on camera, or you can toss it right into the chat. Yeri has been posting a couple different links here specifically to MLT, the Forte Foundation, UCLA's Reardon MBA Fellows Program. Yeri, I don't know what CGSM is. I guess I could click the link, but do you want to, oh, that's consortium. Yes, the consortium. Do you know much about consortium, Yeri? Can you tell us a little bit more about that, talk about that in this particular context?
Sure. So consortium is one of the sort of MBA prep programs. And I'm not sure if it's been around for the longest, but consortium is a collective of sort of graduate business schools. And I want to say, I think there's around 20, and they offer fellowships as well. So, you know, depending which schools you're interested in, if you want to sort of widen your net, you can always, like, I know someone that did Reardon and that did consortium at the same time, right? Because they sort of offer different things. And, you know, sometimes they look for different types of applicants. So I just kind of like to push out all the resources. And then, so if you're admitted into a consortium school, then you're guaranteed, I believe, at least 1 or 2 years of fellowship funding.
Yeah, and I want to highlight this because I think this is one of the questions that often comes up, you know, because UC San Diego's Rady School of Management is really new. We're kind of the new kids on the block when it comes to MBA schools. And so a lot of these programs have been set up for many more years than even our school has been around. So while we're very proud of the fact that we have moved as quickly as we have and have been as successful as we have been, we are not members of the Forte Foundation. We are not members of the consortium or MLT. However, our admissions committee and our fellowship committee are highly aware of this. And so when you apply to the Rady School of Management, if you've been through any of these programs, we want to hear about it. We want to hear your experiences through the application, and we can take that into consideration as we develop our own fellowship package for you. So if you are, for example, in the Forte Foundation, and Forte is going to give you, you know, a $10,000 fellowship to attend one of their schools, if you come and talk to me, I might be able to put in a good word for the fellowship committee at the Rady School of Management. And I know that this is something that we have definitely done in the past. And I know moving forward, as we develop Rady specific fellowships focused on EDI. Wendy, I think you mentioned that there was some fellowships that are slowly being developed at the higher level that are going to trickle down into the admissions process. All of these are going to be reviewed and considered as your full application package. I don't know if Matt, you wanted to add anything, or Wendy specifically about that.
No, it's something that came out of our strategic planning process, so we weren't quite able to make it happen for this admission cycle, but we will moving forward. So we're looking to give you know, packages, but we're also looking for if you're interested in doing some of the work while you're at Rady too. So it'll be kind of two methods.
Excellent. All right. So for, again, Emily and Philemon, this is really meant for you. We've got about 6 more minutes left of our time together. So if you have questions, feel free to come on camera, feel free to unmic yourself, or drop into the chat any questions you have. Again, Yeri is with the CEMAL, which is the Summer Institute for Emerging Managers and Leaders. I think I got that right. And Wendy is our Assistant Dean for Strategic Operations. Oh my gosh, I botched that one.
It's my title and I botch it all the time, so no worries about it.
But if there are no questions specifically from you, I would like to just ask one last thing of our guests today. If you had any one piece of advice, you've been obviously in this world for a few years. I'm going to start with Yeri. If you have one piece of advice to give a applicant who's looking at an MBA program, what piece of advice would you give?
Let's see, one piece of advice. Okay, like kind of two. Start early and do your research. So this means like, don't think, okay, I'm gonna apply next couple of months. Like if you're thinking about it like a year out, I would say at least, start thinking about the application process. Reach out to folks that are here on this call, not this call, but this session, and ask questions, and just do your research and find a program that you think would be a good fit for you.
And Wendy.
It's a similar type of advice, and I think you're actually already doing it. I'm a big fan of availing yourself of the opportunities that are put out there. It's amazing how much knowledge you get when it's on your your resume, or if you have the ability in your application materials. I always look more favorably upon people who have gone out there and been a part of symposia and things that again, it goes to what Yeri was saying a bit, like, you're doing your research, you're out there, you're demonstrating you have a commitment to this education, and you're putting in the legwork to make sure you're getting the best fit for yourself. And I'm always very supportive of that. And so I think you're already doing it, but I would say keep on doing it. Avail yourself of those opportunities.
Excellent. Well, with 4 minutes left of our session, we are done with our presentation, and I haven't seen any questions come in the chat. So at this point, Emily and Philemon, if you'd like to hang out and listen to us chitter chatter, you're welcome to do so. Otherwise, you're welcome to head back into the Whova platform and check out the next panel session, which is going to be an amazing one that I don't have open. The next panel session is going to be at 5 o'clock our time. It's the Black and Latinx MBA experience. What is business school really like as a Black or Latinx student? So that's going to be a fun one. Do feel free to hop over to that at this time. And thank you so much for being here. Yeri did post her email address in the chat, and it's also on her name. Thank you for that, because there are going to be some people watching the recording who don't have access to the chat. So it is sieml@ucop.edu. Any other questions can come directly to the Rady Grad Admissions Desk, which is radygradadmissions@ucsd.edu. So thank you again. Thank you to our speakers. Thank you to Wendy and Yeri for joining us today, for taking the time, and for sharing insights about the different opportunities that students have to take advantage of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Thank you all.